There are truths in this life that no book can fully explain and no classroom can ever teach. They are not learned through repetition or memorization. They are discovered through experience, often in the quietest moments when the world around you is loud, but your soul begins to whisper. And here is the striking reality. The very fact that you are reading or listening to this message right now is not random. It isn't a coincidence, nor is it just another piece of content you happen to stumble upon. It is an appointment, a divine interruption. Have you ever wondered why certain words hit you differently while others slide past unnoticed? Why some messages feel like background noise, but a few, rare and piercing, land deep in your chest? That's because truth has a unique frequency. It doesn't knock on every door. It looks for the ones who are ready to open. And if your heart is racing even slightly right now, that readiness is stirring within you. For years, maybe even since childhood, you've felt a quiet tension, the sense that you were somehow set apart, not better than others, but undeniably different. Even in crowded rooms, you carried a subtle distance, as though a part of you was standing elsewhere. When others laughed easily, you sometimes felt the weight of something deeper. When people around you seemed content to follow the script of life, study, work, earn, repeat, you sensed that your story was never meant to be written in such predictable lines. This is not your imagination. It is not an illusion created by insecurity. It is the first ripple of awareness that you are on a different path. One that won't always make sense to the people around you, because it wasn't designed for them. It was written for you. And here is the paradox. What the world may label as weakness, your sensitivity, your restlessness, your refusal to simply fit in, is actually your greatest strength. You are not broken. You are marked. You carry a spark that others may overlook or misunderstand, but it is the very sign that you are chosen for more. So let this opening be more than inspiration. Let it be confirmation. You did not arrive here by chance. Something higher has drawn you to this exact moment, not to burden you, but to awaken you, not to give you all the answers at once, but to prepare your heart for what comes next. The story we are about to unfold is not just about knowledge. It is about recognition. Recognition of the marks you already carry. The truth you've always known but never fully embraced. By the time you finish this journey, you will not only understand these truths, you will see them alive in your own reflection. Deep down, you've always known it. You've always carried the quiet awareness that something about you didn't quite blend with the world around you. Think back, those moments when you stood in a group, laughing when others laughed, speaking when the conversation demanded it, but still feeling that invisible barrier between you and everyone else. You played your part. You wore the smile. Yet behind the mask, there was a subtle ache. I don't fully belong here. That feeling wasn't loneliness in the traditional sense. It wasn't the absence of company. It was the absence of resonance. You could be surrounded by people and still sense a strange emptiness, as though you were tuned to a frequency no one else could hear. And the more you tried to explain it, the more misunderstood you felt. People told you, stop overthinking, or you're just too sensitive. But what if your sensitivity wasn't a flaw? What if it was a signal? That subtle disconnect, that quiet knowing, has always been the whisper of calling. It's not the kind of calling you receive in a single dramatic moment. It isn't a lightning bolt from the sky or a booming voice echoing through the night. More often, it's a steady tug, a thread pulling you in directions you can't explain. A persistent nudge that tells you, even when life looks normal on the surface, that your story is meant to unfold differently. And perhaps that's why you've wrestled with a sense of frustration. You've looked at others who seem content with simple answers, with shallow pursuits, with living day by day without questioning anything deeper. Meanwhile, your heart refuses to settle. You crave meaning, not distraction. You crave depth, not comfort. And that craving is not an accident. It is evidence of who you are becoming. Understand this. Chosen ones are rarely at ease with the ordinary. Their spirits resist smallness, not out of arrogance, but because they've been wired for a greater horizon. The world often mistakes that resistance for rebellion or pride. But you know better. You've felt it. That low hum within you that refuses to be silenced, no matter how hard you try to blend in. So here's the truth you need to hold. That feeling of difference is not rejection. It is direction. It is God's way of pulling you out from the crowd and into your own design. You may not have words for it yet. You may not fully understand where it's leading. But every time you felt like an outsider, you were actually standing on the threshold of your true identity. The disconnect was never meant to punish you. It was meant to protect you from losing yourself in a world that rewards conformity. And if you've ever wondered why your life seems to resist fitting neatly into other people's expectations, now you know. You weren't made to copy their story. You were made to live your own. One of the clearest signs that you are set apart is the way you see what others cannot. This isn't about physical eyesight. It's about perception, the invisible radar that allows you to sense what is real long before it shows itself on the surface. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt something shift in the atmosphere? No one said a word. No one raised an eyebrow. And yet, within seconds, you knew something wasn't right. Later, your intuition was confirmed. The truth surfaced, and you realized you had felt it before it was visible. That's not paranoia. That's discernment. Discernment is more than instinct. It is a spiritual gift. It is the quiet ability to read beneath appearances, to detect motives and energies hidden behind smiles or words. Others might dismiss it as overthinking. But for those who are chosen, it is not an accident. It is God's way of guiding and guarding you. The Bible gives us a vivid example in the prophet Elisha. Time after time, he warned the king of Israel about enemy plans, not because he overheard them with human ears, but because God revealed them to his spirit. To his enemies, it seemed like espionage, but in truth, it was discernment. Similarly, Joseph, long before famine touched Egypt, saw it in his dreams. His awareness saved nations. This gift shows up in modern stories too. Think of innovators like Nikola Tesla, who once said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration." He wasn't talking about simple logic. He was pointing to a higher channel of awareness, an antenna tuned into realities beyond what most could grasp. And you felt it too, haven't you? That sense that danger was near before anyone else noticed. That sudden inner check when someone's words sounded right, but their spirit felt wrong. That pull to step back from a decision that, on paper, looked perfect. Others may have laughed. They may have called you cautious, dramatic, or even judgmental. But later, the truth revealed itself, and your discernment proved right. This is the first mark of those who are chosen, the unseen eye. A gift that allows you to live not by surface appearances, but by spiritual awareness. And while it may feel like a burden at times, because seeing ahead of others often isolates you, it is also your protection. It's the reason storms rarely catch you unprepared. It's the reason deception struggles to stick to you. The world may try to convince you that your sensitivity is weakness. But let me tell you, it is sacred. What others call too much is often simply too early. You are not imagining things. You are discerning. And this ability is not here to weigh you down. It is here to lead you, to guard you, and to prepare you for the path no one else can walk but you. There is a second mark that reveals itself not through what you sense, but through how others respond to you. And the most telling sign is not found in crowded rooms, business meetings, or social accolades. It is found in the eyes of children and the presence of animals. Have you noticed how children sometimes stare at you longer than expected, as though they recognize something beyond your appearance? Or how a baby smiles the moment your eyes meet, even when you've said nothing at all? Perhaps you've had moments where animals, stray dogs, cats, even creatures you've never met, quietly settle near you, as if your presence makes them feel safe. These encounters may seem small, even ordinary, but in truth, they are profound confirmations. Unlike adults, children and animals are not conditioned to filter what they feel. They don't care about your status, your job, or the way you dress. They move by instinct, by resonance. They are tuned to purity, and when they sense it, they respond without hesitation. That is why their response to you matters. They are reading something beyond the physical. They are responding to the light you carry. This is why Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." Matthew 19:14. Children recognized something in him that even the scholars of his time often missed: safety, love, authenticity. And this same dynamic is at work in you. The innocence within them resonates with the truth within you. History is filled with people whose very presence carried a quiet power. Mother Teresa was not wealthy, glamorous, or loud. Yet people felt peace simply standing near her. She once said, "Peace begins with a smile." That smile wasn't cosmetic. It radiated from a spirit aligned with love. In the same way, your presence speaks before you say a word. So when a child reaches for your hand without fear, or when an animal curls at your feet, don't dismiss it as coincidence. See it for what it is, a reflection of your spiritual essence. They are confirming what you often overlook in yourself, that you carry a frequency of safety, of healing, of authenticity. But this gift carries another side. Just as the pure are drawn to you, others may be unsettled by you. Some may avoid eye contact. Some may withdraw without explanation. Why? Because your presence is a mirror. It reveals truth they may not be ready to face. And while that can feel isolating, remember this: light is not meant to blend with darkness. It is meant to reveal it. This second mark, the attraction of purity, is not about charisma or charm. It cannot be faked, taught, or rehearsed. It is about resonance. And when children and animals, the purest among us, respond to you with trust, it is heaven's way of reminding you. You are chosen, and your spirit is aligned with something eternal. The third mark of the chosen is perhaps the most mysterious, and yet the most powerful. It is the ability of your thoughts to shape reality, not in vague, wishful daydreams, but in consistent, undeniable patterns that prove your mind is deeply connected to the very fabric of creation. Think back on your life. How many times have you thought intensely about someone, only to have them suddenly reach out? How often have you envisioned a specific outcome, only to watch it unfold almost exactly as you imagined? Most people dismiss these moments as coincidence, but you know better. There are too many to ignore. This gift is not random. It is intentional. It is the third mark, a mind synchronized with divine design. The Bible says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Proverbs 23:7. In other words, your inner world inevitably shapes your outer one. For most people, thoughts are fleeting shadows. For you, they are seeds, alive with energy, ready to manifest. But here lies the paradox. This gift is both powerful and dangerous. Just as your thoughts can invite blessings, they can also invite burdens. A mind left unchecked becomes a breeding ground for fear and chaos. That is why discipline of thought is not optional for the chosen. It is essential. Every idea, every image, every quiet repetition in your mind is a form of creation, and creation always produces fruit. The question is, what are you planting? History is full of people who lived out this truth, knowingly or not. Jim Carrey, long before fame, wrote himself a check for $10 million and carried it in his wallet. Years later, he earned that exact sum. Nelson Mandela, after decades in prison, cultivated vision and forgiveness instead of bitterness. And when freedom came, his inner reality shaped a nation. This is not law of attraction packaged for trends. It is deeper. It is the law of alignment with God's design. Romans 12:2 urges us to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Why? Because the mind, when renewed, becomes a co-creator with heaven. What you dwell on with clarity and faith becomes a channel for God's will to enter the world. But this mark comes with responsibility. You can no longer afford careless thoughts. You must become a guardian of your inner world. Not every fear deserves space in your imagination. Not every doubt deserves rehearsal in your mind. Instead, you are called to think with intention, to imagine with reverence, to align every inner picture with truth. So, the next time you notice your thoughts shaping reality, don't shrug it off. Recognize it for what it is, a sign that you are chosen, a reminder that your mind is not ordinary. It is a portal, a sacred bridge between the unseen and the seen. And when aligned with faith, it carries the power to turn vision into destiny. Carrying these marks is not only an honor, it is also a burden. To be chosen means you will face trials others may never encounter. Why? Because light always attracts attention. It comforts those who long for it, but it also exposes what hides in the dark. And exposure rarely comes without resistance. Have you noticed that your presence sometimes unsettles people, even when you've done nothing to offend them? Or that you've been accused of arrogance simply for speaking truth? Perhaps you've faced seasons of isolation, betrayal, or relentless misunderstanding. These experiences are not random punishment. They are evidence of the weight you carry. Jesus himself was rejected in his own hometown. Prophets were often despised before they were honored. And throughout history, those who carried light were misunderstood long before they were celebrated. The same pattern plays out in your life. Resistance is not rejection, it is confirmation. Darkness does not fight what doesn't threaten it. But here's the tension. With great calling comes great responsibility. Luke 12:48 says, To whom much is given, much will be required. The gifts you carry, discernment, healing presence, and a mind that shapes reality, are not ornaments. They are assignments. You were entrusted with them to protect, to guide, to build, and to awaken. That is why discipline becomes your greatest ally. You cannot allow bitterness to cloud your vision, even when you are betrayed. You cannot let exhaustion silence your voice, even when no one seems to listen. You cannot afford careless words, careless energy, or careless thoughts. Every action carries weight. Every choice either magnifies your light or dims it. But do not mistake responsibility for loneliness. The same God who entrusted you with these marks also promised to sustain you. Just as Joseph was carried from the pit to the palace, just as David was strengthened to face Goliath, just as Esther was positioned for such a time as this, so too are you upheld by divine support. With every trial comes new grace. With every battle comes hidden provision. So how do you endure the pressure of being set apart? By remembering this, you were not chosen to blend in. You were chosen to transform atmospheres, to disturb complacency, to awaken what has been asleep. And that mission will always feel heavy at times. But the weight is not meant to crush you. It is meant to shape you. So the next time you feel misunderstood, take it as a sign. The next time you feel isolated, see it as preparation. And the next time you feel the burden of responsibility pressing on your shoulders, remember, you are not carrying it alone. You are partnered with heaven, and heaven always equips those it calls. Now that you've seen these marks, discernment, the pull of purity, and the creative power of thought, you might be asking, what now? Recognition is the first step. But transformation happens when awareness turns into action. These marks are not simply traits for you to admire. They are invitations for you to live differently. So how do you begin? Start small, start intentional, start today. 1. Guard your mind like sacred ground. Every thought you allow to take root is a seed. Ask yourself daily, is this building me or breaking me? When fear rises, counter it with faith. When doubt whispers, silence it with truth. The chosen cannot afford careless thinking. Your mind is not a playground. It is a command center. 2. Protect your spiritual energy. Not everyone is meant to have access to your light. Some people will drain it, some will distort it, and some will despise it. That's why even Jesus withdrew to solitary places to pray. You too must learn to step back, to recharge, to create boundaries. Rest is not weakness. Solitude is not loneliness. It is strategy. 3. Stay connected to the source. Your marks do not come from self-help tricks or personal ambition. They flow from your union with God. When you co-create with Him, your life carries eternal impact. Prayer, stillness, worship, these are not rituals to check off. They are lifelines that keep your spirit aligned with heaven. And here's the beauty. The more you live in alignment, the more natural it becomes. You no longer strive to be chosen. You simply live as chosen. Your presence begins to heal rooms without effort. Your words carry weight beyond their volume. Your thoughts align with timing that feels miraculous. People may not understand you, but they cannot deny the shift you bring. Yet make no mistake. Walking in these marks requires courage. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs presence. It doesn't need more followers. It needs carriers of light. And that's you. The question is, will you fully step into it? So today, let this message serve as your confirmation. You are not here by accident. You are not ordinary. You were not meant to blend into the background of life. You were meant to rise, to awaken, to radiate. Take the first step. Guard your mind. Protect your energy. Connect to the source. And then watch as doors open, atmospheres shift, and your life becomes undeniable evidence of God's work on earth. Because being chosen isn't about waiting for a future moment. It's about living right now as if the truth is already alive within you. And it is.